Here's what we've got from the direct. The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere had a relatively weak performance in comparison to some of the other Star Wars Disney Plus series. Although its viewership exceeded the recent Andor by close to 50%, here's the big one. It still trailed behind Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett by 28% and 2% respectively, while also falling short of Marvel Studios' Loki premiere by 35%. Now, here's the key thing to know. The Loki premiere was not good. And the Loki premiere happened when there were far less subscribers for Disney Plus. So not only did 50% of the audience disappear from this latest episode or this latest season premiere, but also the percentage of people tuning in to watch Baby Yoda and The Mandalorian as an overall percentage of Disney Plus subscribers is way, way lower than in the past. And so you've got an accordion effect. And everything is going in the negative direction with the accordion effect.
Well,
so
look at Willow as a prime example.
Oh my gosh.
After
Willow.
one season, I watched that too, and I'm like, what did you do? It's all following the same truth. It's like Disney no longer cares about or likes money.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's compare this to, say, the pinnacle piece on another streaming service. Let's say that Netflix, the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things, all of a sudden, season 3, similar trend. What does Netflix do? What does Netflix do with most season 3s anyways? They would end it right there. Yep. That's it.
Exactly right.
But Disney refuses to ever admit that they have ever had a black eye in their lives. Maybe 20 years later, someone writing a book will get nostalgic and say, we might have had some missteps in the Eisner era, but they will never admit they did something wrong.
All right, drop those super chats. Let's hit them.
These are all related. Some of these relate. These all relate to each of you actually in different ways. But Tommy
related, unrelated, we read them all.
For $7 Canadian. Pro, at what point does Disney have to face reality and stop doubling down on ESG and DEI fueled content? Where's the line in the sand?
Yesterday, Tommy, that's when they needed to face it. Peltz tried to get them to face it. We will find out if Peltz gets back involved. Again, we're seeing the steps taken by Robert Iger that indicate to me and many others that Disney is not ready to course correct. And then the question becomes, how far does the company have to fall before the company is forced to react to what the market wants? The market, remember, that's not me, that's not you, that's not this audience. The market in general has said no. You don't arrive at the place where Quantumania fails in the way it did. You don't arrive at the place where The Mandalorian has half its audience cut. And you don't arrive at the place where the parks have to cut capacity artificially. You don't arrive at any of those places if the company is in a healthy place.
When they get, they've only got the half Nelson. It's when they get the full Nelson that they finally learn their lesson.
The Nelson. I'm stealing that one too.
That's $5 says Disney layoffs really going to change anything at all when the executives that created the mess are still in place? What are the high-level layoffs? Are there any?
Well, we don't know the specificity of the layoffs yet. However, I would not anticipate very high-level layoffs. What I would anticipate is that this is in the middle of the company. That's where the first round was. They have said in the past that they're not going to cut the frontline theme park workers, and I always found that humorous when they would come out and say that, because it would be sent out into the access media, spun as if that was something virtuous, and I would think, now wait a minute. So they're telling you that they're not going to cut the people who just started working and have the lowest pay. They're going to cut the people who worked their way up over the last few years to be, a low-level manager at the theme parks. They're going to cut them. And it's like, that's not virtuous at all. That's inverted.
If they can get 75% of the productivity out of someone new that has 25% of the pay, they're going to go for that. They're going to risk that first before they hold on to somebody who's been there for a long time at the company with a lot of experience that knows when their manager is wrong.
And eventually they can't cut positions. And when that happens, when we've got enough holes in the ship and the ship's going down and we've thrown as many people overboard as we can, eventually they're going to have to go touch the steering wheel and move this ship in a different direction. We'll see how long it takes.
As a follow-up to the discussion you guys were having, Tommy Tables for $7 Canadian asks, also, why is Disney's wokeness tanking their product while Netflix's wokeness is apparently paying off for them?
Because it's not as apparent.
And it's not targeted at kids in the same way.
That's exactly right.
Mhm. There's a difference between having a finger pointing at you blatantly and subtle layers, like let's look at Star Trek and how they do it, given to you over time, where it makes the audience think. Making the audience think for themselves is telling them they're smart, while pointing the finger and telling you you're horrible, even though you gave me money, is not a way you're going to make consumer base grow farther.
And if you
Well,
look at what's actually successful on Netflix, there's a lot of acquired content on there, like The Walking Dead, and that '90s show is obviously not acquired content, but they're pitching it in different ways that it's not necessarily the wokeness that is successful on the platform, although there is, of course, some wokeness successful there.
Well, and let's say this too. Netflix did dabble in the type of wokeness that hurts one, that damages a company. When they released Cuties, I mean, that really did hurt Netflix,
Oy.
and they're just now recovering from that. Look at how it hurt subscribers and subscription rates. Look at how Disney became competitive with Netflix, which is no longer happening now. But Netflix has done this before. The difference is that Netflix has adjusted. And so when you aim things at children, that's a different ball game than when you put out content that adults can enjoy at their own leisure. Kids don't know how to filter stuff out. So when you put this stuff into kids programming, and we know that's Disney's intent because we watched Miss, what's the name of the lady who was over the Proud Family?
LaToya Ravenel.
That's right. I'm sorry, Ravenel. When we watched her talk about a not so secret agenda, not so secret agendas for kids, that's scary and it's wrong. Leave it alone.
And frankly, Netflix is a company that started as an entertainment media company for adults in their spare time, whereas Disney, first and foremost, was a family attraction.
You got it.
Based company that decided to go into the online space. We got a member chat from Alf who says,
Ha!
Hi, Mikey.
Hi, Mikey.
Ha! Hi, Mikey.
Hi, Alf. He also
I
says,
kill me.
I hate Alf. Alf, for $5, not this Alf. Well,
Get out of here, Willie. Get out of here.
oh, I hated that show, bro. God, I hated that fucking show. If Disney keeps going,
I don't know
like
if the
this,
pitch makes it work or not. It may sound like a terrifying beast when I do that.
If Disney keeps going like this, in a matter of years, Disney will die in the public eye, and I can't wait for that to happen.
Thanks.
Me too, Alf.
Thanks, Jonas.
Disney is slowly turning into their old TV films called Mr. Boogedy. That's what's happening.
Hillis Mallory sends a member chat saying, I think part of it, meaning Disney, is that Gina Carano's still not back. Mando could have had more viewers if Cara Dune had a cameo in the first.
You don't get Cara Dune. You get knockoff Gina Carano, who is of the right political positions for the Disney company, and she'll flex her muscles for you.
Because Mandalorian wasn't trending, except for the paid promotions. Cara Dune was trending on the first episode.
Well, there is a new rumor that came out. You also remember that GameStop clip of the It's Ma'am. Supposedly that's going to be the new Cara Dune. That's where they're going.
Okay, well, I'm sure that will excite fans the world over. I can't even imagine how much Star Wars fans are going to run to their small screens to see the next episode based on that.
Hillis Mallory also sent in $5. Just remember, Black Cauldron was done dirty back in the day, just as Lightyear and others are now. Disney could turn around, but it will need new leadership.
Lightyear did its own self dirty. Don't worry about that.
Black Cauldron got Katzenberged.
Lightyear got what do we want to call that one? Leftied? No, lesbianed.
The difference between Black Cauldron and what happened there and what happened with Lightyear is the entire organization of Pixar created Lightyear and said, this is our good thing.
Except for who, Jonas? Who was not there? Who was there before?
John Lasseter.
The man who hugged and said no too much.
The man who would be Disney. My goodness.
That's
When you want to see somebody who is being groomed for a role, man, look at the way they talked about John Lasseter right up until the day they walked him out the door. They were like, look at him. He's just like it. Walt Disney, the first animated feature. Oh, John Lasseter, the first computer animated feature. Look at his joy as he goes through the parks. Look at his ideas. Man, they were setting him up, and then something happened. He made the wrong person angry, or the wrong set of people angry, and then the hugging became a problem.
Well, Lasseter, had he seen this film in its nascent form, he might have said, I really don't think this is much about a space ranger. We're not going to make it. And so without that voice there, they just can put whatever crap in the pipeline they want because there's nobody there to say no. And how do we know that, folks? We're not making this up. Remember the Reimagine Tomorrow videos that were leaked by independent journalist Christopher Rufo, where literally the same lady we were just talking about a minute ago said, I was putting this stuff everywhere and nobody would tell me no. Nobody would tell me to stop. That's what happened with Lightyear. And guess what else? When it made it high enough out of Pixar, right? It made it past Pete Docter, made it all the way up to the battery that Bob Chapek had set up to weed this stuff out. And they said, no, we're not going to put some of this stuff into theaters. Guess what? That's when the giant backlash, screaming, shouting, sobbing from Pixar started. We had the Disney walkout movement. We had the attempt for mutiny. And eventually they put it all back in and it flopped. It flopped, and we're going to do it again.
And I'll say, even though Chapek allowed them to make that change to put the kiss in, the movie was garbage before they put that in. So Chapek did them a favor. So they had their ammunition to say, oh, no, it's people don't like lesbians. No, that movie would be garbage with or without that kiss.
And
that's right.
I want to add something to the chat. Comes from Willie quickly. For those who are think about the children, how Disney's trying to do content for children, all you need is that one episode of Louder or Prouder, where they're doing that school presentation.
Country.
But it's not even about what they were saying. It's the visuals and the pictures they used in that to a cartoon dedicated to younger generation. Those type of stuff you would not see in DuckTales. You would not see in Rescue Rangers. You would see none of that imagery there. And that is the main problem. Why are you
I could not even imagine it,
kids? Why would you even point that at kids? And that's where you start seeing where Disney is going next. They know the adults are too smart. So now they're going for the ones that are still holding on to their own innocence, and they're trying to take it away by virtue signaling, which is another message of I'm going to change the way you look at yourself. No
Steven,
company has that right.
I cannot even imagine DuckTales from the late 80s, early 90s. I cannot even imagine them putting something about the Gulf War into DuckTales. I cannot imagine them putting in something about Gorbachev into DuckTales. It's bizarre. It's stupid. It's weird. And it dates the product. And yet with the Proud Family, they believe that it's their job to put the most divisive modern content into children's programming. And when I watched that episode, I have to say that I told Jonas this, I had never seen anything like that.
I'm waiting for Care Bears to get Antifa Bear, and then we're going to see a whole new series. Okay, that's what I'm waiting for. Antifa.
Can you imagine the symbols on their tummies?
Yeah, it's my gosh! It's just going to be a brick.
Steven, get the thumbnail going. We've got to do this.
It's going to be a pile of bricks. It's going to be a pile of bricks on the belly. That's all it's going to be.
I could do 10 episodes of everything woke about Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. They are so deep into what they're doing.